So this whole slideshow is kind of grand and big ideas and stuff, but I'll change it into more of a conversation.
Okay,
and let's just talk as we go along, ask questions and that kind of stuff. So we're doing about the event. There's a big opportunity there as well for you guys to be involved. To perhaps, is that what we're aiming to try and get them to pitch at the events as well?
Yeah. So
some of the top three could get an opportunity to present their ideas, and there's going to be about 300 top businessmen and government people there. It's going to be a really world-class event. We've got 4 speakers from outside of South Africa, and one of them might be a guy from MIT, is the top dog in the smart city space. And if we get him to talk, it's going to be really, really, really exciting. So, and there's also a big party. We might get Mega Groove to come. So it's going to be even better.
So when is the event?
That's on the 31st of October. Okay, so yeah. So is this thing filming? I have to look just left or just right, eh? I'm just trying to get my camera face. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Africa on the rise. Everybody's talking about it, and the statistics are showing it, and there's companies doing research on Africa and the growth rates. We don't really do very well in South Africa, but maybe we can piggyback on some of the faster growing economies. And what the previous speaker said about markets and stuff, I really think that we should be focusing on Africa. There's a lot of opportunities, and we definitely do as South Africans have an opportunity to understand Africans, because actually we also are Africans. Even though we are a much more advanced economy than the rest of Africa, but we do have strategic advantages to the rest of the world, and we need to look at that. Then I'm going to talk about what are smart cities and some examples right here in Stellenbosch that could be plugged into your ideas as well. Okay. So I'm going to start off with the big question. Africa, is it rising? Is it actually going to take place? And then some of these studies, some of the the PwCs of the world, and this is done by Frost and Sullivan, are doing a lot of projection on what's going to happen in Africa, and we're going to have super mega cities. The problem is that unfortunately we don't have the resources and we don't have the infrastructure to actually deal with this incredible growth. That's one of the major problems that's going to hit Africa. And we are kind of faced with the choice right now in terms of the kinds of technologies that we're going to be putting into these cities. So are they going to be the same old extension of the same old infrastructure and the same old technologies and the same old existing methodologies of doing things? Are we going to extend that, or are we going to create a whole new way of doing things? For example, mobile. Mobile has exploded in Africa because we actually don't have any infrastructure. That's one of the reasons why mobile has exploded in Africa. So this is some of the growth projections. As you can see, the number of people by African cities will increase by 25% by 2025. That's an average growth rate of 3.4%, 1.2 billion people. So 60% of Africa's population will be urbanized by 2050. That's a massive urbanization. And when we talk about smart cities, it could be seen as this very European or American or developed world concept, but actually there's a massive opportunity to use technology to solve this problem. And actually, if we don't use technology and think about how we're going to integrate into this problem, then we're going to have a massive crisis on our hands in Africa. Okay, so at the moment, we're spending about $93 billion on that's what's needed every year in sub-Saharan Africa. That's not the whole of Africa. That's about half of Africa. So, and I think it's actually that number is quite conservative. So, out of that 93 billion, $60 billion needs to be spent on absolutely new infrastructure to maintain that growth rate. And of that, 30 billion is just the maintenance of existing stuff that's there. So there's a huge opportunity and a huge market. The problem is that we're struggling to get into those markets for various reasons, as we heard earlier. African markets are very, very difficult, and that's where entrepreneurs are going to make a difference. Because the big guys are trying to come in with their big guns, set up shop, and they're actually failing. The people who are successful in Africa are working with NGOs, very entrepreneurial, working with the communities to find solutions. And there are some amazing success stories in Africa. 90% of them that are successful are smaller companies and they're entrepreneurial. Okay. Let's skip that part. So what are smart cities? Anybody heard of the concept of smart cities before?
Yeah.
What is a smart city?
Smart city is basically a city with sensors. Well, one of the things is it's a city with sensors that has big data, and it's big data that people can use. So like traffic lights would be part, like intelligent traffic lights would be part of a big city. Like an intelligent transport network would be part of a smart city, and that type of thing.
And why is that useful?
Why is that useful? Because then once you have data coming in like that, you basically have a market for apps and that type for small people to come in. So let's say make a route finding app that will find the best way to navigate through the city.
Okay. That's, I would say, a very business-oriented perspective of what smart cities are. The whole concept of smart cities was kind of popularized by IBM. They had an amazing marketing campaign going, and they're talking about a smarter Earth even, and it's really about connecting people. That's what it boils down to. And ICT is one of the tools to connect people. But with smart cities comes efficiency. Okay, if you look at the problems that we have in Africa. One of them is potholes, for example, in South Africa. So how do we create a system, an online system that can give the administration of the country or the municipality real-time data to know exactly where the potholes are, when, and actually not do any of the work in finding out where the potholes are, but getting the citizens to tell you where the potholes are and which potholes are the worst. The citizens are telling the government what to do. So that is a really exciting component. Which relates to what you're saying, but there's a lot more about smart cities than that. It's actually about the hard infrastructure. But are you guys in the ICT space?
Yeah.
In the ICT space, okay. So the fundamentals of smart cities is about connecting problems to the people who can actually solve those problems, connecting people, understanding real-time data. And that's when we're going to talk about the user and why the user is really so important. Because the user, the fundamental aspect of of this component of what you're talking about is that people, as you said, feed into the system, but then it has to be open so that anybody can actually understand the data, and the data must be user friendly, so that everybody knows what's the traffic flow through the city per day. Actually, I'm going to go that way around tomorrow because I know that the traffic flow is bad there. These are just some examples. But the point is, if you're going to be inputting into the system, then you should be able to get something out. That's what drives smart cities. So, I mean, my dream and some other people's dreams collectively, and more so the municipality, is to actually see how we can transform Stellenbosch into a little mini smart test town to actually test some of these solutions here. Why not? Let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to just go a little bit more into detail here. Worldwide, people are deploying technology to address the timeless challenges of government and the mounting problems posed by human settlements, providing previously unimagined solutions. Okay, so that's our starting point for new challenge, guys. What can we actually do in Stellenbosch? I mean, what are the real challenges that we presented with here, and what are the cool ideas that can pop into our minds that might not really work in isolation, but if we got 2 or 3 of those ideas together, it could work really, really well. Yeah.
What time frame are we looking at? So, for example, let's say education, right? That's a big problem, and improving that will definitely increase just the quality of life of the individuals in Stellenbosch, and it will increase Stellenbosch as a smart city in terms of we'll have more inventors. But that's not something that I can't just be like 6 months education program, boom, everyone's Einstein. That's something that takes time. Now, what time frame are these initiatives looking at?
I'm not sure. I mean, look,
That's important.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I think that the smart city is going to be a whole host of different solutions. It's going to be about how we connect and advertise those solutions in partnership with the people who need them. Because if you don't address the users in trying to find those solutions, then you don't have a good product anymore. So the point is, what you're talking about already exists in Stellenbosch. Did you know that? So education is, we can talk about education and we can talk about learning, and they're kind of two different things. Part of education is access to knowledge, right?
Yes.
But actually access to various programs. There's already a system in the schools in Stellenbosch that's going to be implemented here called Ogle Media. Have you heard of it? Have you heard of Ogle Media? I'm going to talk about that example in a moment. So, sorry buddy, that one already exists.
Okay, no, that's good.
No, I'm kidding.
No.
You can maybe make it there. Okay, so smart cities consist of a whole, this is like the formal definition of smart cities. So smart technology and monitoring and traffic flow and that kind of stuff is only one small component. You also get smart grids that actually understand where energy is required at any specific point in time. That's more for the engineers, the really nerdy guys. And then smart citizens obviously is quite important. That's where you start engaging with the system as well. There's a lot of opportunities in doing that. My dream is to have a smart Stellenbosch card, or on your phone you have you can plug into a smart portal for Stellenbosch, and everybody it can be an open source thing, and we can actually all start plugging in solutions into that platform. That would be very cool.
Speaking of smart.
Okay, you got some ideas. Okay, so these are the fundamentals, and the point is to connect them all. That we're looking at working with the municipality of Stellenbosch in developing an e-governance system. So there's going to be a big opportunity there to actually start developing apps. Like some people have already started developing safety apps. Have you heard of Shake It? So he's a bad presenter, but his idea is brilliant. You basically shake your cell phone and it sends out emergency numbers to 4 or 5 different people, including maybe the security. It geolocates you and it tells you hi, and you can record as well on the phone. You can say hi, I'm in trouble or something, and it will send that message to 5 different people, which is a pretty cool idea. He's even got an idea that it activates a little helicopter, one of those helicams, and it goes to the location and takes photos and stuff of the person. So these are the kinds of things that people are already doing. It exists in Stellenbosch, which is quite amazing. Okay, I'm going to just go. But in terms of where the world is moving, we're like about 7 years is probably right. I think we're about 7 years behind the rest of the world when it comes to smart cities. But these are like really uptight, European or American kind of ideas and ideals of smart cities. And I think we can turn this stuff on its head, especially with the blank canvas that we have in Africa. How do we actually look at what are the daily needs of people, and how can we use technology to actually change those daily needs? There's another app, for example, in the townships, where it's a trading app. For example, if you don't need, I know this sounds crazy, but if you don't need like a part of, you've built your shack or whatever, and you've decided no, you want to leave town, you can actually sell your shack, and or you can take down your shack and sell parts of the metal, and there's an app that the guy's developing for that. Or you want to build a new shack, it's a little business, because people need like scrap parts, or they need like screws and that kind of stuff that you can find on this app, and you know who to contact to get the stuff. So there's lots and lots of opportunities in that space. And then globally, it's just it's a trillion, 3.3 trillion market in the next 20 years. It's absolutely huge. And if we don't jump onto that bandwagon, then we're going to lose out. And I think if we put our minds together as entrepreneurs with the municipality, with the university and the EMMS, there's a massive opportunity to actually, instead of getting an IBM or an SAP or these big companies that come in with their ready-made solutions, we can actually start doing this stuff ourselves. And we can start doing and testing it right here in Stellenbosch. Because they're of Gus Pay.
Yes.
Yeah. That's an amazing idea. You just go and tap your wristband and you pay. Imagine how fast the bar would turn around. I mean, that's incredible. Do you know about GusPay? Yeah. And then there's obviously SnapScan, these kind of things. That is like more advanced than the stuff that they're doing in America. In America, they're still writing checks. Okay, so I'm just going to skip this part. These are some of the challenges that I would like to focus on. Looking at urban challenges, like a lot of the problems. You've got to imagine amazing transport issues I feel in Stellenbosch. Sometimes it's worse in Cape Town. Like on a Friday, to get through Stellenbosch is just like ridiculous. And we're going to spend, I think it's something like 80 million rand to build a new, I think it's more than that, to build a new bypass. Or we're going to have a traffic app that can monitor the flow of traffic, and then they can actually intelligently change the traffic lights or something like that. So the flow is real time. When you're, and after a month of actually monitoring the traffic, the whole system kind of optimizes the traffic flow, and it will cost maybe 1 million rand instead of 22 million rand. So there's lots and lots of opportunities in that space. This is my passion, is looking at how we can actually create technologies and solutions for work. There's a lot of needs in these communities, and there's a lot of really, really good ideas as well. I think it's called, there's a guy called Sia, he does medical dispensers with the bike.
The bike.
He's 18 years old or 19 years old, and I think he's developed an app now as well on your phone, your smartphone. You can, or on your, even on your analog phone. You just send a message, this number, with your prescription or something, and then they go and fetch your medicine at Khayelitsha Hospital, for example. He's got like a whole gang of bikers that go and fetch the medicine and then take it to the right address, which is pretty cool. And actually it saves a lot of time and energy of the nurses and the doctors and stuff. So, I mean, the point is that if we can get it right here, I think that we can upscale it into the rest of Africa and look at those markets as well. So, another thing is like sanitation. That's more of an ICT, not an ICT thing, but more of an infrastructural clean technology thing, and we are solutions for that. Okay, I'm going to skip that. This is quite a hectic one, I think. These fires. You've probably all heard of the iShack, right? But this is an amazing, I think, smart solution for the poor, where these guys actually get connected to electricity. So the whole mobile revolution around smart, I think, and it's smart in Africa. This is a very good example, because with living comes connectivity as well. So imagine the home that you live in at the moment is not connected. This gives them an opportunity to be connected because there's electricity. And you can actually run a laptop on there, you've got light, you can allow your kid to do homework at night, to change people's lives. And that's what this shack looks like. Who's actually seen the iShack? Have you been there? You actually looked at it. It's pretty cool. If you go inside, there's a lining of fireproof material. So these shacks will actually not burn down as well. And that lining also provides healthcare, because the insulation in these shacks is really poor. And I think the government spends like unbelievable amounts of money on healthcare, because people don't have the right. It's obviously pretty damn cold in winter, but that affects people's health, and they spend billions on that because of people's health. So we can improve people's health by building a good house, and it's a connected house as well, because now they've got the internet. We can change lives big time. And if we can get it right here, we can export it into the rest of Africa. Who's heard of Kaya Power? This is an awesome idea. This is like a recycled bottle, which the guy turned into a battery. And you can actually plug your cell phone and charge your cell phone. So you rent this unit for about 5 rand, okay? And then you can go and charge your cell phone, and then you take it back, and then during the day, the Kaya Power battery unit charges with a solar panel. So So at the unit of charge of the solar panel, you take it at night, you go and charge your phone. That's a mobile application, which is amazing. And then the guy has a BlackBerry maybe for one of these new headphones. Is it a Vodacom phone or a headphone?
Protocols.
It's a Vodacom phone. He could run his little business like with spare parts for houses or whatever. These are the kinds of things that I'm keen to look at in terms of what I mean by smart. This is not the conventional smart. This is smart for Africa. Okay, but this is the Ergo Media one. That basically this is a very smart idea. Because data is really expensive in South Africa, these guys have a deal to use data after 12 o'clock at night, and they download free educational content at night. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, when the kids come to school, they plug in their little sticks or whatever, and they can actually get free educational content. But what attracts them, the funny thing is, what attracts them to this little unit is airtime. So they sell something like, on average, about 200,000 rands worth of airtime from Vodacom on these things. And that's what attracts them to this place in the first place, because they buy airtime for the whole community from this one space. This is more of a clean technology, because I see smart cities as ICT stuff, ICT tech, and applications and software, etc. But it's also real hardware, like this system that they're planning to build in Stellenbosch. Have you heard of it? It's a concentrated solar power plant, which I think is just amazing. But it's also got software smart application in here, which is these mirrors actually follow the trajectory of the sun, and then it's like this shines onto a central, what's it called? A central receiver, which in there has got like molten salt and rocks and all sorts of engineering stuff. And then they send steam through there and it creates electricity. But the beauty of this thing is that it stays hot for a very long time. So even if it's nighttime or not sunny, you can still make electricity. That is breakthrough stuff that's happening at Stellenbosch University. But this is, much bigger picture stuff. It's not something I expect you guys to come up. But the ideas are out there. This is where we're moving in the bigger picture in Africa. This is mobile. You can go and build this anywhere where it's sunny. Pretty much. They're looking at building one outside of Stellenbosch as well. Have you heard of agri-protein? You've heard of this one, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. That to me is that's smart. That's just a natural smart, looking at things from a different perspective. But that just makes sense. Who does not know agri-protein? You know it? Have you been to agri-protein? No? Okay, then let me tell you. So basically this is like a fly farm that they got out there. And these flies, they're not the normal house flies, they're soldier flies. Black soldier flies, yeah. And if you go there, it's a really splendid place. When they come once a time, because these flies hatch little baby larvae, and the larvae get spread onto rotten meat or even human waste and bio-waste in general. And they eat something like 8 tons of waste a day for 8 liters of this crop. And they produce nice fat maggots. And you have them over there. And those maggots are used for chicken feed, right? And currently, something like 60% of the fish that comes out of the sea is used for protein feed. So that's a complete replacement for that protein, which is a very, very smart and sustainable technology, in fact, a natural technology. Okay, this is another example, and this is a really cool idea. Does it have to be an actual product, or can it be an idea? Because I've got a very good idea.
The way that the idea program is all about the idea stage. So,
Okay.
Yeah, but I think software and electronics
More
is more, I think, the definition of what we had in mind.
Yeah, in the software and electronics space, yeah.
Okay.
But of course, they don't develop the product now. But, I mean, the idea must lead into some type of product.
Yeah. Okay. But all of these hardware technologies in the future are going to have some software application to them in the future as well. Even the mobile stuff, like understanding the need of a community, that can be programmed into future applications. For example, I know this to me is really exciting, and I'd like to get involved in this in the future sometime. But it's like almost mobile, affordable, instant pop-up solutions for Africa. So a community needs water. You get a government to sponsor half of it, and you get an NGO to actually implement in that community. This is a mobile water filtration system that can actually service like, I don't know, a couple of thousand people and in a small town. I know another company that's can pack a whole solar energy installation that they can put up in 2 weeks for a whole village of 5,000 people, 5,000 households. Within 2 weeks, that whole village can have electricity. That is just amazing, I think. And that is a completely different paradigm to the extending the electricity grid, for example, national grid stuff. So imagine packing into these containers like ready-made educational kind of units that teach people how to solder or repair cell phones, which come with a trainer. It comes a little business as well that you can send into Africa, for example. There are so many ideas around this, and I think this is going to be an exciting space to look at into the future. That's more local. This is another idea, which is about showers. Do you know that most people in South Africa actually do not shower every day? Most people. And imagine you want to go on a date in the township and you just don't have access to water if you want to impress the girl. So this is a solution that an entrepreneur friend of mine, he's built this shower system, which basically you go and you get, it's like really nice and clean. You get a nice white towel. You get about 12 minutes to shower. It's got a timer on it as well. You can also buy airtime in there, and you can go and have a shower for about 10 rand. And that's low cost stuff, and that's the kind of thing that we're looking at. And how do we actually understand the demand and the market need for this? Is software that can be developed that as well, And the point is, how do we get that into the market? There's various ways, but this guy's looking at working with the Taxi Association and around transport hubs. Okay, so this is one world where these guys are from. Techno Park up on the hill. There's some amazing stuff that's happening out there, and there's a lot of interesting, people that work there. But I feel that there's a big need to connect that community by itself, and connect that community to what's happening at the university, what's happening here. And we're going to be working with the launch lab to try and do that. Absolutely, and it seems like it's already happening by itself. But the major aspect is connecting this world with this world. Okay, so bridging that divide between, the high-tech business space between an emerging business space as well. And then this is what you guys could really think about is the challenges. Okay, a lot of our local challenges are very much relevant for Africa and very much relevant even globally. If we can, produce solutions which are a fraction of the cost of the rest of the world, because we have to, because of the affordability problem in South Africa, in Africa, then we can outcompete the rest of the world as well. And if we go this mobility route, there's a huge opportunity as well. I mean, the cost of infrastructure that we require was 93 billion rand. How do we get communities to actually develop their own infrastructure and see it more as a business rather than government coming, waiting for government to do that? But then finally, I think you guys are more interested in this aspect from an ICT perspective, and that is the smart Stellenbosch aspect. How do we actually start creating a platform? And we're going to look at a website perhaps that we've already started, but how do we plug solutions into that website for a smarter Stellenbosch. People can plug ideas into there, or they could plug technologies into there, and we could test those technologies, become a little community where we test new ideas. Some of them are going to work, some of them are not going to work. The ones that do could be really, really exciting. These are some healthcare apps, for example. Connecting the grid. These are another examples of what we could do in Stellenbosch. We could, there's smart monitoring meeting in all the residences. I think that's already going to be taking place. There's plans for the campus to have these little kind of kiosks where you can charge your cell phone. It also has an emergency call button. There could also be Wi-Fi spots. There's a lot of ideas that could change in Stellenbosch. Okay, so I think I've spoken enough. But at the end of the day, it's really going to be about bringing those challenges and solutions together with the right resources. Here's one of the potential resources we're sitting here, so we can have smart solutions. Okay, and then we're going to take over Africa, of course, and build these web platforms all across Africa. But this is the advert that I was talking about, which is the second Stellenbosch Innovation Conference. And I hope you guys can all come. Are you guys going to be sponsoring some people to come?
Yeah, we definitely like, as an output of the competition, we like winners in this particular challenge to get an opportunity to go to this conference and use that as a platform for their business ideas. So see that as an extra carrot for this particular challenge.
Yeah. Are there any questions? What do you think of the idea of a smart Stellenbosch?
Very possible.
I think it's
Stellenbosch, I think it's small enough to actually be implementable. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I want to brainstorm a few things with you. So, we don't want to be too restrictive with our challenge, because then you stop people from thinking outside the box. And the reason why we set software and electronics is because that's what we've got strength in, we've got knowledge in. And so we want to keep it around that, but it could be, like you said, some software application that needs something else. And the other thing that I think is important for us is we we want to see that it can actually really make lots of money. So there's certain things that you say here that's very important, social solutions and stuff. But this specific challenge is something that can make lots of money for you as the people that develop it. So there must be some type of business opportunity, and you need to think of where you're going to get money from. So in itself, I think you would agree that if you make really lots of money, it's got all sorts of consequences.
I think there's a bit of a fallacy in what you said there, because I think there's some social stuff which could make a lot of money. The guy with the shower idea, for example, he did some market analysis, and if he just entered the Nigerian market and then was successful, he would become a multi-millionaire. So
that's exactly what I mean. Is that if you do it and you think you're going to get funding from government to support you because it's something good to do, it's probably not something that you would, for instance, our accelerator support at all. If you do it because you see that you can sell it in Nigeria and make per component lots of money, it's something that you would be interested in. So
it's also always a good litmus test. If you produce something that no one's willing to pay you for, it's probably not a real problem you've solved. Good indicator.
Yeah, and then what I really like about this is that we bought into the idea that you need to focus on some beachhead market before you try to take over the world. So I think the idea of focusing on Stellenbosch, if you can show that you can get a solution in Stellenbosch, even if the finances in Stellenbosch is relatively small, but you can still make money, and you tackle this problem and you can really solve it in Stellenbosch, then if you can then show it scalable into different cities or other places, that is what we're really looking for beachhead market that we focus on here, that can scale further.
Do you guys also, you said it's the prize money, but you said you've got money to develop the idea.
Yeah. So we don't necessarily have money to develop this idea unless we believe it can be taken further. Then we'll definitely sponsor any idea that comes into our accelerator. But we want to sponsor this just to get people thinking, and even if we don't take it further and somebody else takes it further, that's completely fine. But if we're interested in it, we'll have to convince them to, whoever it is, to come and join us.
Will we be able to find ideas that you guys have done before on the website, on EMSS?
We haven't really had lots of ideas. I mean, we've developed.
Haven't you just this is your first challenge start?
Yeah.
Sponsorship.
Yeah.
So you're just starting out now.
Yeah. So in our company itself, of course, we've had 5 to 6 businesses that grew into ideas that grew into businesses. But remember what I said earlier, it's all around electromagnetic engineering on antennas, and we want to break out of that. So you can go and look at our website what we do, how we currently make our money.
Yeah.
But yes, now specifically, we don't want to target that market at all. We want to target a completely different market now.
Okay, great. Because I saw some stuff on Skeg's website that you guys have asked them to do. Some of the product development stuff, and I was just wondering if you're thinking in the same direction.
There's stuff that can work here as well, but it doesn't necessarily, have to be similar. There's a company that's doing some really cool stuff, which is like, they have sensors in your clothing, which actually like monitors your sweat and your heart rate, and it can tell you how healthy you are. But that links to your phone. So there's an opportunity to develop that kind of stuff as well. There's a lot of apps in the health space now, or in the planning space for a student. I need one, but it actually like plans when when you're supposed to eat to optimize your health, when you should exercise. Are you studying too much, for example? There's a lot of that stuff happening, which is quite exciting. It could quite easily be tested in Stellenbosch as well, with a group of students or something.
Go back to your question. You want to know if we want something that fits in with what we currently do.
Well, you said you don't, because you guys want to look at different markets. But my question was, you guys started stuff with. I saw some stuff that Skeg did.
Yes.
So my question was, would you guys want to think in the same direction of making new random stuff, which is not necessarily in your core focus, but new ideas?
No, so Skeg is just supplied to us in something that we sell in our field of antenna engineering.
Yeah, but maybe I should reword it. Is you're willing to make the idea if it makes sense for you guys? You guys are wanting to go into that direction.
That's exactly what we want to do. So a physical piece of electronics, whether it's their software, whatever, that's exactly what we want to do. When France says our core, we talk about electromagnetics. I don't know how much you know about electromagnetics, but it's quite a narrow marketplace. A couple of thousand people in the world are interested in those sorts of products. What we're interested in is electronics, software products that's got a more general appeal.
General market, definitely will be willing to build stuff.
And hopefully hardcore science goes inside the box. So we're interested in things where hardcore science goes inside the box. It's something which is of interest to people in their everyday life.
General market.
All right. Okay. Cool.
So you're using this as a platform to experiment with potential future diversification?
No, it comes to
Stimulate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe, you never know, maybe you come up with an amazing idea and become a software company. Well, you are already a software company, but
I think the important thing too is, you're coming up with smart ideas. You're sitting out at a university where there's a lot of smart people. For example, if you come up with an idea in the health space, you've got a sports science department just down around the corner of you. Go and speak to somebody there and get their input on it. If it's an electrical idea, go and speak to an electrical engineer if you're not one yourself. You've got all those kind of resources here on campus. There's no excuse for not getting good market information about your idea and expanding the quality of that, but the value proposition that you're going to present before you come on the 30th, so that tap into what you've got here on this campus in terms of the knowledge that people have been doing research in areas for years. They're world experts that you can tap into in terms of helping you to hone your thinking, and that's the whole idea of this workshop. It's just a starting point to kind of open up your minds a bit. Go and speak to more people as as your idea crystallizes around something.
I was also thinking that your idea of a completely connected city, you need some infrastructure for that to be in place and people can plug in. But I suppose in this specific case, you can have an isolated thing that might eventually plug into that as well. Which would also be a great start. You can already connect to certain things.
What I recommend is that we start with the challenges. Think ICT brain, put your ICT brain on and go, housing. How can I actually develop something within the ICT realm that can improve housing? Because that's a major problem. Maybe it's just like connecting these sets of people with each other through a smart app, because it's not happening by itself. There's a gap market in South Africa, in Stellenbosch. There's a lot of opportunities. Waste. Maybe we could start some kind of recycling. You get points for the amount of bottles you put into a machine or something. Like how vitality works. Instead of taking your car, if you put your smart card against the thing and you take your bike, then you get points. And after so many points, then you can get. I'm not going to say free McDonald's, but maybe a beer at Dross or something like that. These are like incentive schemes. That's also something that could be really fun to do in Stellenbosch. It's like develop like an app that has incentive schemes for people to change their behavior, rather cycle, because there's a big cycling drive as well for Stellenbosch. But they're going to spend a lot of money on developing new bike paths and stuff. These are some ideas. How do we save water? That's a major one. That's going to be, in 2017, we actually don't have the infrastructure to deal with the amount of water that's required in Stellenbosch. So how do we change our behavior and the way we use water? Like social inequality. We could have a mentorship, online mentorship thing going, or sponsor a friend for dinner or lunch, or give them a cell phone. There could be second-hand cell phone distribution. These are just some of the ideas that could all be happening on a smart Stellenbosch platform.
Internationally, it might not always be relevant to Africa, but have you got any interesting technologies or things that you've come across in your travels?
Most of the stuff in the smart ICT space is bought by governments. As you say, there needs to be this foundation, and that's what IBM and SAP and all of these big players are good at. They give the local government, for example, the platform to deal with all the data, because you need quite a robust system to be able to deal with all that information and then spread it to the people again. But there's things like, Fix It is an app where if you see anything that's wrong in your city, you take a photo of that and it automatically sends it to the central administration. Or if you see anything like crime or whatever, you can take a photo and send it to the police. So the citizen kind of starts governing his own city. And then you also get real-time kind of feedback about what's going on in your city. I think there's an app in Stellenbosch. It's like a party app, which tells you which bar is full and which one's not full. It's pretty cool. So there's lots.
I think I said too much. We get enough of that.
That's a real practical problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool, man.
Who's gonna be the final judge of the challenge? Is it again gonna be a panel?
Obviously you'll be invited, and we'll probably have some people from the other challenges as well as some people from the university, and then also industry, local venture capital.
I think it might be a good idea. We don't think just to put some, so this is the idea generation thinking, and then some pointers of what we would be looking for. So
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I'm worried people work on something that's really cool, but it's not what we're interested in.
Yeah.
Then we judge it and say, okay,
But rather
this
let's-
is space.
Yeah.
A guy like Shaw will come up with 100 very good ideas. So
Charles, our idea guy.
he's the best idea guy.
This video will also be put up onto YouTube, and also will, so if you've got other people who maybe missed this and who might be interested, then you can point them to the video on YouTube, and we'll be sharing this at UCT and UWT too, so that those audiences can tap into the content.
Cool.